Okay, so what is good? I am NLG. This is going to be a new series of just a hardcore perspective of the different updates that we get from the devs. So I'm just going to kind of off the cuff this. I've been playing Wrath for a long time, so yeah, let's get into it. So, again, I'm not going to read this word for word, but I'm just gonna give my thoughts on everything as I read it. Okay, so this whole no changes thing, I mean, I kind of don't even understand why they need to tell us this, but I guess it's fine, whatever. I wish that they would just get to the meat. Find the design pillar isn't sufficient. Okay, about some Shadowland shit. So if you're reading this, you can just skip this. Nurture. So yeah, I haven't read this at all, so I'm just going for the first time. Nurture and protect social experiences. Oh my god. The compelling social. Why don't you go outside, man? To retain these experiences, we want to help. Yeah, the best way to get good social experiences is through harder content. It's through, you know, I remember the same. I could probably name most of the people that I did Hodier buffed hard mode with on several different private servers, because we spent hours and hours and hours there. Same for like XT buffed hard mode. But I don't remember anybody in the last random heroic I did, and I will never play with them again. Build community, reduce toxicity. Yeah, but again, this is only relevant for hard content. Repeat serendipitous interactions. Man, this is like hippie shit. I don't understand. Like, I swear these people don't play the game, and then they try and insert their fucking hippie bullshit into how they change the game, or even how they play the game. We would often meet in Stranglethorn Jungle. Like, what? Like, do they even play the game? I mean, honestly, like, I don't even play TBC, but like the way that you guys level is by AFKing in dungeons and shit, and some level 70 with Chinese character name as their name that you couldn't even type it on your own keyboard is just, he has a weak aura for you. Decisions like dungeons, raids, questing, phasing, tools. We make, okay, nurture and protect social experience. Okay, that's great. Another important is approachable and familiar. We want you to feel like you're coming home. Is more deliberate. What does that mean? Classics combat pacing is more deliberate. That's out of laziness. That's not necessarily laziness, but it's out of budgets. Like, you guys aren't, you're gonna make less money as Blizzard if you are having to revert us back to like 3.0, and then every single tier changing the, you know, the patch progression. Like, if you guys actually had to go patch progression as it should, it would cost you guys a lot more money. So I hate reading stuff like this. Intrinsic motivations. And I'm not trying to make this sound negative, but this is just purely my opinion while I'm reading this. Most often defeated through careful preparation. I don't know about that. Maybe or maybe pre-nerf Sunwell, but the rest of that content didn't look like you needed to carefully prepare. Can be found in the emblem system from Wrath, which became needlessly complex and confusing. It really wasn't. I mean, it's complex, sure, but like, it doesn't matter by the end of the expansion. because you only care about the most relevant content. If anything, that's one of the bad things about Wrath is, and really World of Warcraft in general, is that the previous tier becomes practically worthless. For each raid tier of emblems to work the same, with one emblem dropped by the latest raids and used to purchase gear equivalent to those raids. Plus a second emblem dropped by dungeon and older. Oh, so you get 2 emblems. That's pretty good for alts. It's also going to make jewel crafting gems really cheap because you're going to get a ton of old emblems at the same time. And you can use those to buy gems in Wrath. I don't see anything wrong with that. I mean, it's going to piss off casuals. But yeah, I don't see anything wrong with that. Third and final is the world is the main character. This is just more useless shit. Why do they put this in here, bro? Why do they do that? Okay, cool. Wrath of the Lich King itemization changes. These pillars. Yeah. It does feel abstract. 10 player and 25 player raids dropping the same items. I don't like the sound of that, but it would be good if it so first off, it's going to kill 10 mans. If you can get the same 10-man loot from 25 player raids, I think that the meta would still shift around playing in a 25 player raid. I think it would just kill 10 mans, like I said. Either that or people would only do 10 man because their 25 man group isn't good enough. There's a lot that's interesting actually, because if let's say you're in Ulduar, right, and your 25 man raid can't kill algalon, well, wouldn't you want to just do 10 man algalon and potentially get 25 man algalon loot? That seems, I don't like the sound of that. What other things could you do with that? I mean, the other question is, does it share the same lockout? Or, and is it going to drop multiple pieces, like extra pieces? I've been saying since the beginning that they should increase the loot drops, like the total amount of loot that you're getting, simply because we're accelerating the tiers. So the tiers, the time between tiers isn't nearly the same as what we used to have. So it only makes sense that you increase loot drops. I'm gonna put a question mark here on how I feel about that. I feel like it could be implemented good, and it could also be killing 10 mans. It could be your 25 man group isn't good enough, so you go to 10 man. I don't know. Heroic dungeons getting improved drops. Again, I don't like that because you're not updating the heroics. You're just going to get bored of these heroics, especially with no random dungeon finder. You're going to get bored of these. Or increasing the starting difficulty of heroic dungeons. I mean, you can increase the difficulty all you want, but it's still not going to be that fun. And if you increase it too much, then you're kind of just screwing over your alts. Or you're setting back your own raid progression if you make them incredibly hard. You're going to have it to where people literally can't even do... Because you're talking about buffing naxx, too, at a later point, I think. And you're talking about buffing heroics a lot. I mean... Is anyone even going to be able to step into naxx if you buff it too much? Probably not, right? One change is to increase health and damage. Yep, okay, there it is. So yeah, they're thinking about buffing naxx. What exactly? So they said that one change we've decided to make is to increase health and damage of monsters in naxx. I mean, that's what a lot of private servers do. it doesn't make the content any more interesting. Some of the best private servers like Frosthold have actually even added mechanics and changed how different mechanics work, as well as buffing the health and damage. I think that should, like, this company is so massive. It's worth billions of dollars. I mean, they should be able to scrap together something where they, you know, add in a new buff or add in a new debuff or something like that that, you know, makes the content more interesting. Because you guys just did, most of you guys just played naxx 40. I mean, just going with a standard HP buff. I mean, I it's better than nothing, I guess. But at the same time, I think you should be fighting for some kind of extra from such a big company. Our 2000, anyway, continuing, we missed the mark and it ended up being easier than intended. Sure, bring up difficulty. Happened in ulduar, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, that's true. They're also talking about how they don't want prenerf ulduar, so that's going to be kind of interesting. I haven't done a video on it yet, but I've done some of my own personal analysis, and just looking back at the world first firefighter, world first Yogg 0 kills and stuff, and looking at the damage and the healing based on whatever patch, 3.2 or whatever, 3.1 I guess, that people were playing on, the damage across the board is probably 10 to 20% higher. I would say the exceptional players, it's closer to 20, but I would say average players probably doing at least 10% more damage. And I kind of think that you're going to want at least pre-nerf for that. And I don't think that buffing naxx by 10 or 20% or whatever is going to be enough. Anyway, let's continue. The second goal is about making sure stay attractive. See, this is dumb. This is, heroics are so easy in Wrath. It should be you shouldn't even think about them. Like, you should be able to go in on your full green trash character and just enjoy the free loot that allows you to walk into naxx. It's the starter raid. It should be a shorter tier, not a more difficult tier. Anyway, let's continue. Items should always be valuable. That doesn't even make sense to me. Why would you make heroics more? Why would you make heroics valuable throughout the expansion instead of the raids? Like, let's say you're in Trial of Crusader. Why wouldn't you make naxx have some kind of longevity? Why do you want people to go into a 5-man and do it? That just seems really stupid to me. Even late in the expansion, it should also remain an interesting challenge. I mean, I think you could do both, though. I think you could do buffed heroics throughout the expansion, make them have meaning, while simultaneously having raids also have value. You know, because once ulduar, I know that other people have said that once TOC comes out, you're still going to run ulduar. I mean, not really. Like, you're going to run it for a Valinir or two, maybe a Comet, but, like, you're going to be very tired of ulduar by the time. If they do, like, the 6 or 7 months of ulduar or whatever, you're going to be very tired of it, and people are going to, you know, even if you have 20 people who would do it, you're going to start seeing some backsliding on attendance, and people are gonna make up new ailments and shit. And it's honestly exhausting doing all that raiding, especially when like 90% of the gear in ulduar, let's say TOC is out, 90% of the gear that drops in ulduar, even hard mode loot, is going to be worthless. And it's still not that much of a pushover, even with like early tier TOC gear. So you're gonna have to go into a raid, a long as fuck raid. You're going to have to actually pay attention, actually do the mechanics, actually have the correct comp for it. Yeah, it's not something good. It would only be worth it if it also dropped like tier 9 loot on top, like relevant gear on top of that. But anyway, let's keep going. They should also remain. I mean, I think they should add like transmog stuff. I think that would be cool, but I think heroics should be for your alts, and then they should just die. They're fun, but only when you really outgear it and you can just go in there and steamroll everything. It's pretty fun. Nostalgic itemization. As well as their unique art. Okay. Whatever. Itemization and raid lock systems for Wrath evolve. Yeah, they did. Rather than changing per phase, we want to make it more consistent. This means that emblems should drop and work in the same way every tier. Set pieces should be acquired the same way every tier, and ideally raid lockouts should function the same way every tier. I mean, the emblems is fine. I don't see anything wrong with that, really. It's gonna be good for your alts. I don't see anything wrong with that, honestly. It's just gonna accelerate your gearing, and you're gonna want this, because they're probably gonna accelerate the time between tiers, or the time between tiers. Like tier 9 will probably be like 2 months if I had to guess. Tier 7 is probably gonna be like 3 or 4. Tier 9 might be like 3 months actually, but yeah, you're gonna want them to give you more badges somehow. Hope that this glimpse. Okay, this is probably worthless. Blah blah blah. Then this is the XP event. This is some like stupid shit. Who cares? We can read it real quick. 50% XP. This is nice, I guess. It's 50% XP. I think a lot of people already have their alts ready though. The only thing that this is interesting for is that your DKs are gonna level up really quick. I think it's kind of funny the people that are buying like these BOEs and stuff for their DK. Like the DK gear that you get is really good already. Anyway, adjustments, dungeon, creature, behavior, and group XP. This is a quick one. They're basically making it so that if you have a high level in the group, then everybody else in the group isn't going to get as much experience. This is just trying to kill boosting, basically. Do I think it'll kill boosting? For the most part, probably. I also hate this. I hate this. Like, people are going to RMT in some way. I don't understand why something that is legal in the game needs to be taken out, like GDKP, for example. Because people use it for illicit stuff. Like they're going to stop. Let's say you don't do GDKPs. Okay, well they're gonna RMT something else. Like it's been going on since the game started. Let's keep reading. Make it more. Yeah. So they basically just make it really hard to boost at a high level. Extremely committed. Now look, modern code. And I don't get what this is. How is this so much better than RDF? I really don't get it. Like you're gonna get random people, and then you're gonna get declined for not having a certain amount of gear score. Like they're gonna whisper you and ask you what your gear score is, and then they're just gonna decline you. Or they're gonna be like, yeah, but do you need this trinket? And then they're gonna decline you. Like that's one of the good things about RDF is when you queue up, like you're getting random people who generally want to, like, I understand that you get into troll groups sometimes, but those 5 people generally just want to finish the dungeon and get their daily out of the way. Yeah, I don't understand why this is better. This is like convoluted stuff to fix a system that was working. That's how I feel about it. Let's see. We've rebuilt the UI. Okay, cool. Solo listing mission. Cool. Request invite. Yeah, this is... I haven't played retail in a long time, but I think they've even had this since, like, MOP. But, yeah, people are just going to decline you because if you're leveling up, you're not level 76 for Violet Hold or whatever. Yeah, like, if you're the minimum level, they're going to decline you because of that. If you're a class that could potentially roll on their loot, they're going to decline you because of that. If they want to get carry, they're going to decline you if you're bad. You know what I mean? So I think this just creates more issues than it solves. So yeah, overall, that's all the news. There was some good stuff in there. I think the buffs to naxx is fine, but I think that we should expect more from a giant company like Blizzard. Getting emblems from both is going to be really nice. I think it's a good change because they're accelerating the timeline. I think a lot of this stuff is bad, though. Like, we don't need heroics to stay relevant gear-wise because the amount of raiding and stuff that you're going to do, let's say the tier 8 just came out. If you're trying to stay relevant on all your alts and stuff, and even where did they mention that? They said something about the nostalgic itemization. I'm kind of thinking that they're going to drop new loot. That's what I'm getting out of it. I could be reading into that wrong, but if they drop new loot, now you're going to have to do heroics to get this new loot, and you're going to have to do it on your alts too. And like, does this new loot now, does it make the current raid tier irrelevant? Like, for example, when TOC came out, that was one of the biggest complaints, was that it completely, it was a super easy raid that killed Ulduar in a way. Ulduar was this long, difficult, intricate, interesting raid that just got killed by this pretty lazy, from a developer point of view, raid. But the gear was so much better that, but still, you just didn't run Ulduar anymore. You did it for the Valinir, and that's about it. And I would hate for, let's say, Ulduar to get killed by heroics. That seems kind of stupid. What other things to wrap it up? Yeah, one request: can the devs just like skip all this stupid shit? I feel like I'm reading, like, when you apply to a company and it's like, here's our mission statement. That's what I feel like when I read this garbage. Like, just give me the meat. Anyway, that's my perspective. I know that a lot of people aren't going to agree with that just because they don't play the game as much as me, or even, you're just going to have a different perspective from me from that. But that's what I think. So, yeah, thanks for watching. Have a good one.